Hey guys, how are you? So, I want to talk a little bit today about something that came up with when I was talking to a friend of mine. We were just chatting about just how it goes when dating and getting married and everything, and the reality of things, right? I've talked about this before, but I want to mention it again. And that is, I want to talk about it again, and that is basically like money. Okay, money in relationships is a major topic, right? It can be a major issue, it could be a problem, sometimes it's not a problem, right? But money is something that should be discussed really way before you get into the relationship, or at least your outlook on your view on money, or your money per se, your own money, before you even come to a relationship, right? Like how you look at that. I'm gonna tell you, for me personally, I look at time is money. Time is money. Money is time, right? And the reason why I'm that way is because what I have experienced in relationships, real life, is depending on the relationship and depending on how things go, you can absolutely lose money when you are giving out too much of your time to the other person, right? Especially if you are an entrepreneur, or especially if you're self-employed. If you are employed in a way where your time is very important, right? The less time you have is going to be the less amount of money that you can make. Now, why is this important? Well, I'm going to speak from a female's point of view. Real life, non-AI female. Okay, and I'm going to speak from my point of view, right? I know and I understand that today's society is very different from back, many years ago, where you could really live life off of one income. I do know that there are plenty of jobs out there and plenty of men out there who are above the average bracket, where there can be one income and you can live off of that. But I'm going to specifically speak to average out there. And in most places, it does require 2 incomes to run a household. 2. Okay? With that being said, if you enter into a relationship or a marriage, dating or whatever, where you're going to be sharing expenses, sharing a household, sharing bills or whatnot, right? Then, however, me as a female, however I make my money, or have chosen to make my money, or whatever I do to make my money, and if I am expected to help with some of these expenses, then that's going to require time. I'm going to need time to be able to work, correct? I'm going to need to utilize time. So if, for example, like me, I'm a makeup artist. I'm self-employed. I do other hustles. I do plenty of other hustles, like a million other hustles. But no matter what it is that I do, it always requires time, right? And so if I'm over here like, I got a gig, I have a makeup job, a wedding I have to go do on Sunday or Saturday, or a music video shoot or something like that. And let's say a lot of times production work, especially, is paid out in blocks, right? In like 8-hour blocks, 4 or 8-hour blocks, things like that. So let's say the contract was, 8 hours and it's $500, or which is very low, but I'm just, back in the day, that's kind of what it used to be. But let's just say, an 8-hour block is, $500 or $1,000 or whatever, right? Okay. That means that depending on the contract and whatnot, it means I have to give that job 8 hours of my time, and I'm going to be doing makeup during that time, right? Usually that means I'm going to be doing as many faces as needed, as many touch-ups as needed. It's just an hour. I'm basically getting paid for a block of time. I'm getting paid for my time. But it may also include, like, okay, if I'm running overtime, I'm still going to get paid or whatever. But like, it may be until the music video is completely shot. Like, like until it's over, right? So that may run into 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. And this has happened, okay? Which means you're not going to get home till 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, right? Now, if in your relationship, your man, or you, like I said, I'm coming from my perspective. I'm going to pretty much talk from my perspective. As a woman, if my husband is saying he wants me to contribute to the household income by paying, let's say, my car payment or my phone bill, whatever, half the rent, whatever it is that you guys discuss, right? That is necessary to help run the household. That means I need to work. But if your man or your husband or whoever, if he starts to say, well, you know, I really don't like you being out till 1 o'clock in the morning, or I don't like you doing weddings on Sunday because that cuts into my time. I don't like you doing this because, whatever, yada, 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 you know, like basically I need you to be home by 10 o'clock, or I'm going to need you to be home by 11 o'clock, or I'm going to need you to be home by 9 o'clock. Or maybe he doesn't say it like that. Maybe he just kind of says it in a roundabout way, or he says things or does things like, well, I want a fresh home cooked meal to be ready for me by the time I come home from work, and I get home about, 4 o'clock every day. And so I'm going to need you to make sure that I have not a crock pot meal, not a microwaved meal, not a pre-frozen meal, but a fresh, cooked, hot and ready, like a restaurant, like you're a short order cook. I'm gonna need that to be ready for me every day. So I know I know I told you to help pay these bills or whatever, but I'm gonna need you to figure out how to do that from 9 to 2. Because to cook a meal, just because you want it at 4 o'clock, don't mean the woman can start at 3:30 and is gonna be ready, right? Depending on what he wants, you may need to start at 2 o'clock, or 1 o'clock. It just depends, right? Okay. But on average, let's say to be ready at 4 o'clock, you're going to have to start at 2 o'clock. Okay. So that means by 2 o'clock, whatever you're doing, right, for work, you better be done. I better be done and back in time so that I can have this meal ready, right? But also somehow make the money that is needed to help pay whatever my portion of the bills are. Okay, so do you get what I'm saying here? So in other words, what I'm saying is time is money. So if I'm expected to pay half of the bills, some of the bills, whatever the bills, right? And I say, this is what I do for work, and it could be this hours or that hours, and sorry, I might be out late or whatever, but hey, you're welcome to come with me. But if you don't want to come, I'm going to need you to sit tight or get your own meal or go out to dinner or, bend a little bit on your rules, like no microwave meals or no this, no that or whatever, because I'm going to be gone so that I can make some of the money to help contribute to some of these bills, right? But imagine if you have a partner or a mate or, a husband who is like, I want you to pay half of the bills, some of the bills, the majority of the bills, whatever. I want you to pay bills, and I want you to keep the house clean, maintained, and I want you to watch my grandchildren, and I want my dinner ready to go by 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 or 4 o'clock when I get home, and I don't want it to be a crock pot meal, and I don't want it to be a pre-frozen meal, and I don't want to have to microwave it. Yeah. And I want it all ready to go. And, I don't want you to go anywhere after I come home, because now I want to see your lovely face for the rest of the day. Now I want you to entertain me for the rest of the day. Okay. Those type of demands, whether or not they come out and say it just like that, or if they huff and puff around and get upset or agitated or irritated with you because you're not conforming to those type of constraints, right? And it's kind of like, why that person is mad when you come home at 6 o'clock and dinner wasn't made, or there's crumbs in the couch, so the house is not clean the way he wants or whatever. And why this person is huffing and puffing and getting upset, right? Like, what it is, right? Because you know what it is. So it's kind of like he may not have to say it, but you do have to deal with the attitude. Okay? So it's like, okay, I don't want to deal with this attitude. He's upset because I'm not home by whatever to cook this dinner or whatever. But he also wants me to pay the bills because he also gets upset or huffs and puffs if I don't pay my half of the bills, or point blank, if I don't pay my half of the bills, they just won't get paid because he's not going to pay them. Have you ever experienced anything like this? Okay. I'm just asking because I have actually. And the thing about it is that I know for sure that I'm sitting on my soapbox forever and ever. Amen. In Jesus Christ's name, amen, right? That I will never, ever, like, I'm going to make sure this is something that no matter what next relationship I get into, whatever, it's going to be like, this is very clear. If you're going to take up my time, or you want me to be a stay-at-home whatever, wifey, stepmama, grandmama, auntie, great something, okay, godmama, whatever, right? If that means I'm going to have to be at home and now cater to the family, which I personally don't mind doing because I know how to do that. I don't mind doing that. I'm just going to need you to understand that A, I can't pay all my bills because now my time is at home, right? And B, I'm going to need an allowance because for me to be able to buy all the things that are needed to run a household and to make everybody comfortable and to probably cook the meals that you want me to make, like if you want fish and vegetables, or if you want wild rice instead of white rice, or if you want yada, 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 all the things that you're going to put in these requests, I'm going to need to be able to, have some money to go buy those things to create a comfortable environment, right? Not only that, the last thing I want to do is stay at home and be broke and feel like Cinderella and all I do is work and clean and cook, work in the house, and clean the house and then cook and then look after everybody. And I literally don't have no play money, or, nothing to go and have a little bit of fun for myself. The things that you need to take care of yourself, everybody is different, right? So for me personally, I have the things that I do for myself that I'll take care of myself, right? It's like, regardless if I have a man in my life, I'm going to, at different times I'm going to get my nails done depending on what projects I have. If I'm going to be doing a lot of painting and whatnot, I might not get my nails done, but I don't keep my hair done but sometimes I might go once or twice a year. I might go and get something done to my hair. I definitely love to get my feet done. That's for sure. I always like to get my feet done at least once a month. I like to go get my, vitamin injections. I like my multivitamin injections. I like my B12 injections, stuff like that. That takes money, right? There are just things that that I'm particular about, that I need to maintain myself. Okay? So, if it's like go to the gym and you want to work out, those all cost money, right? So if I'm not going to be able to work to at least pay for those things to maintain myself, then you need a man who's going to provide those things if he's going to make you stay at home or be home whenever he's home, or whatever his rules and restraints and, regulations and things are, right? This to me should go without saying. This to me should absolutely go without saying. Like, this is not even like, to me, this is just like, duh. Like, duh. Okay? Like, if you want me to be at home and you're going to take away from my ability to be able to work, then you need to be able to not only pay my bills, but also provide me some, fun money. Right? But if you don't have that ability to do that, and you can't do that, maybe you want to. I can appreciate that in a man. I can appreciate when a man wants to and has a desire to provide in a big way. I think that's amazing. That's great. I think that's very much admirable, right? But whether or not you actually do that or you're able to do that, is not really, up to me, or doesn't really matter if you want to do that or not, right? Like, if you don't, then I got to do those things for myself, right? Like, I got to help pay the bills or whatever it is that I feel like is necessary, right? In that case, don't complain about my work. Now, if my work that I do is something that bothers your conscience, something that you can't get down with, for example, maybe you feel like being a makeup artist is the devil. Or here's another example. Maybe you don't like that fact that I make gift baskets, right? You don't agree with the gift baskets. You think that me making gift baskets is from the devil because you don't agree with holidays. I understand, because I don't celebrate holidays. And so I have a very unique style of gift basket making because I don't actually agree with holidays, and most of them are pagan. I mean, we all know that, right? I mean, we all know Jesus Christ was not born on the 25th. We all know that we don't actually know his actual birthday for a reason, is because we're supposed to be celebrating his death. And when we do celebrate his death, we all know that rabbits were not involved. Okay? We all know that on Thanksgiving, the Indians over here who actually owned America, who were here in America way before anybody else, are not actually happy about that day and what happened on Thanksgiving. The only people who are happy about that are the Anglo-Americans, whatever they call them, white people, I don't know, who came over on the boat and forced their way into the land, right? But everybody else is not really happy about what happened on Thanksgiving. But should you be thankful every single day of the year and be thankful to God? Okay? Yes, absolutely. And should we be grateful and have gratitude and be singing his praise and giving thanks to him every day? Yes. Do you need a holiday for that? No, I don't think you need a holiday. Do I enjoy turkey? Yes. Do I enjoy a really big meal? Yes. And spending time with family and friends? Yes, I absolutely do. Yes. All those things, yes. Do I like time off? Yes. Do I like time and a half on holidays? Yes, I do. Okay. But do I actually celebrate gobble gobble? No. I'm not celebrating the downfall of the Indians and the trail of blood, as they say, and what happened on that day. No, I'm not celebrating that. But do I judge anybody else? No. And since that's the case, and since people are going to go out and buy gifts, regardless of what I personally feel, or regardless of whatever soapbox I stand on, all right, people are still going to do it, right? So my unique way of doing my baskets is that I like to call them seasonal. I do what's called seasonal baskets. Seasonal meaning, this is my personal feel, because I've been doing gift baskets since I got into Mary Kay, and also when I did the MAC. When I worked at the MAC counter, I worked at Clinique for a little while. Like pretty much at any store I've ever worked at or anything, you always got to come up and make gift baskets, okay? And I learned how to do them, and I love doing them. I think they're a lot of fun. I just love making gift baskets for any reason, really. I just like doing gift baskets, right? But since God created the seasons, winter, fall, winter, and spring and summer, right? He created the seasons, and in the Bible, they celebrated the seasons, right? It was Festival of the New Moon and the seasons and stuff like that. So I like to do what's called seasonal types of decorated baskets. I can do different baskets too, like different themed baskets too. But in any case, I know that when I stay within the seasons and everything, that if a person is buying it for a holiday, then great. They can do whatever they want. I don't really care why they're buying it. Just buy it. I don't really care who you're celebrating, what you're doing, or whatever. That's not my business, and I'm not here to judge that, and I really don't care. But do you want the basket or not? Are you going to buy the basket or not? Are you going to give me this money to put in my pocket so I can go pay a bill, right? Okay, and so I know that if I do a winter theme basket or whatever, and it's in that season or whatever, then it's going to probably fit with what they're looking for, right? Anyway, that doesn't bother my conscience. It never has bothered my conscience for many, many, many years as a person who doesn't celebrate holidays. And there's a lot of us out there who don't celebrate holidays. A lot of us. There really is. I know that. There's a lot of religions out there who don't celebrate holidays, and a lot of them that do. And then there's people who just don't really, they do whatever they want to do, right? The point is that, let's say I marry a man who is he doesn't celebrate holidays, right? So if I make gift baskets, he feels like that's the devil. But this is what I was doing when you met me. When you met me, I was making gift baskets, and I wasn't the devil when you met me. When you met me, I was not the devil, and you didn't have anything nasty or negative to say about me making the gift baskets. And then after we get married, all of a sudden you want to switch up and be like, okay, now you making gift baskets is bad, or you're the devil, and I no longer want you to do that, but I still want you to pay your bills. So I'm going to chop your legs off and not give you the ability to work, or at least, make it hard for you to do whatever it is you do for work. I don't want you doing makeup for, somebody who's going to celebrate a Christmas party. What? That would be ludicrous, right? Like, that's ludicrous, right? I mean, to me, this is just ludicrous, right? Okay. But these are some examples of some things that I've experienced in relationships where the man switched up on me after being together. It's like, after I quote unquote trap you in this marriage with a piece of paper, I'm going to switch up on how I really feel, or what I really believe, or what I really think, and try to force my thumb and make you stay home, or whatever. Why? Because, you're just too cute, you're too pretty, I don't want you out there meeting somebody else and potentially leaving me. That type of mentality, narcissistic, controlling mentality, right, would not work on this chick. It has never worked on this chick. I mean, I've had men try it. They tried it. And that's what it was. An epic fail of a try. Because this chick doesn't get, trapped by a piece of paper. No. I'm sorry. I don't. I'm one of the few women I feel out there who actually make myself very clear, who actually come off exactly what you see is what you get. Okay? I'm one of those people who tend to, I don't want to say over-explain, but above and beyond, share my viewpoints and communicate in a very clear manner. What I like, what I don't like, what I do, the things that I do, and whatever it is that I do, I'm not lying. I am not pretending one thing and then I become something different afterward. No. You met me doing makeup, I'm going to continue to do makeup. You met me doing gift baskets, I'm going to continue to do gift baskets. You met me doing... Now I have a license with life insurance and everything. So you met me as a life insurance agent, and now I'm going to be selling life. Whatever it is, I'm licensed esthetician. Whatever it is whatever it is. And that's what I am, right? I'm not one of those people. I don't have time. Me personally, my personality, I think it's harder to be a liar. I really do. I think it's harder to be a liar and try to remember all your lies. I learned that lesson when I was a child. As a child, not only did I get in trouble for either lying, exaggerating, not telling the truth, whatever, but also God doesn't like it. And also, that's just a hard way of living. I'd rather just be point blank, here it is, it is what it is, you get what you get, what you see is what you get, blah, 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 here it is, and leave me alone. If you don't like what I do, then get out of my way, and don't come talk to me, right? I definitely have an independent streak. But as independent as I am, I absolutely, in a very willfully submissive way, willfully submissive, you have to understand what that means. Willfully submissive, which means I willfully submit to God's arrangement, and with just the man as being the head, right? But just as quick as I willfully submit to do that, I can take that will away whenever I feel like there's unfair treatment that's on a constant, regular basis, which might in turn feel like a bereavement, or, being, when it's compounded, right? When it's just too much, overwhelming, it's like my body can only handle so much mental anguish and stress. I cannot jump through a million hoops for my partner. I can probably jump to about 3 to 5 of them, but I cannot jump through 12 million hoops, right? And it's I'm also not going to switch up. So if I was jumping through 3 or 4 hoops when you met me for you, right, those are probably the same hoops that I wouldn't mind jumping through after we get married, right? To me, that's just common sense, right? But for whatever reason, and I've had this conversation with several different men or males, friends or whatever, and the consensus is all the same. This is what I've heard. Literally, I've heard this answer, excuse me, over and over and over again. Okay, from guys, especially men, but I'm sure women experience. I'm sure women do the same thing too. But again, I'm talking from my point of view that men just get complacent and lazy. And they just think that after they get you, that they have you, and they no longer have to, do the things that they did to get you, and or they now can maybe let the truth hang out of whatever it is they really feel, and or maybe you're really dealing with a narcissist or a Jekyll and Hyde or something like that. It just depends on how bad the switch up is after you get married. Okay, and I'm just here to say that whatever level of switch up that happens after the quote-unquote entrapment of marriage or a piece of paper, right? I'm here to say that I won't stay in a situation. Like, now I'm just too old to even entertain a switch-up situation at all. I'm just not doing it. It's a no-go, right? So it's like when it pertains to my work and how I make my money, and like, unless you are, and this is the part of the agreement, where I'm coming into the relationship where you're saying, okay, you get with me, I'm going to provide for all your needs, going to give you a house and a car, because I just got it like that, I'm the man, and I got multiple means of income and all this kind of stuff, and your job is to basically support me and do whatever you want to do here in the house or whatever kind of thing, and I'm going to give you play money, shopping money, and all that kind of stuff. If that's the agreement, okay, fine. But if that's not the agreement, like the majority and the average relationships out there, which are two household incomes, right? Or two income households, right? Whatever I say I can do and I'm bringing to the table, and this is what I do, and the amount of time or whatever I'm showing, that's going to be about the same after you get married. And if the man thinks he's going to switch up on me in any type of way and make me feel bad about doing gift baskets or about doing makeup or about selling life insurance or couponing, because that's something else that I do, is I like to coupon, and now all of a sudden, instead of being a couponer, which you might have been supportive and you thought was cool before we got married, and now all of a sudden I'm a hoarder. Which, by the way, hoarders do not like to get rid of their stuff. I do. When I coupon to sell my stuff. I coupon to make a profit, okay? I coupon for the purpose of making bundles and baskets and whatever, and to sell my stuff. I'm not attached to every single thing. I'm not attached to every little, bottle, piece of paper, and whatever. I'm not attached, okay? I'm not over here like, I can't get rid of this and that because it is a memory of blah, 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 right? Okay. Sorry, I was just checking that. Okay, because I watch hoarders. I know what they are. I believe me. It's not funny. A lot of times there's issues there. But I can't help but think about this one particular episode that me and my late husband watched. This was so many years ago, because remember, he's been gone now, 13 years? And I remember, so this was so long ago, but I remember us being on our couch in Florida watching this episode of Hoarders, and it was a woman who, when the people came in to help her clean the house, it was one of those houses that you couldn't even really see the floor, like you had to climb on top of stuff in this big old house. Thankfully she had very tall ceilings, but the floor was not the floor. The floor was stuff. Okay. And so you had to like walk on top of stuff. And so the lady was trying to help her get rid of stuff. And half the stuff, most of the stuff was trash, right? Especially by this point, because there's mildew and mold and everything. But anyway, she was going through she started organizing stuff. Like, okay, do you need this? And what are you using it for? How they do, how the organizers do. They help people, like, let's create these piles. You need it, you want to sell it, or give it away, right? Or trash. And so she was doing that with the lady. Do you need this? And what are we going to do with this, right? And the lady was like, oh, no, I got to save this for, blah, blah, blah. I need this, okay? And then it was like, oh, I need this lotion, whatever, for whatever. I got to do this. Okay, and so the woman was getting irritated. The organizer was getting irritated, so she found like this piece. It was a piece of tissue. What it was it was a piece of tissue from a vitamin bottle. You know how like in the vitamin bottle you open up the and you have the cotton that comes out. It was a piece of cotton that was in a vitamin bottle. It was a piece of cotton like that, like this big. It was like this big, okay? And she just literally, the lady just went, "Can we throw this away? Isn't this trash? This is trash, right?" And the lady who owned the house was like, no, this is not trash. I save these because I use these to stuff my pillows. She was like, I use this to stuff my pillows, and when I decide to make pillows. And so the organizer was like, "Are you making pillows anytime soon?" Me and my late husband, that just became, the lady said it was such serious. She was so serious about, no, she needs it to stuff her pillow. She was so serious about it. Like, that's how deep her issues ran. Her issues ran really deep, right? And I'm not making fun of her because I understand they usually come from losing somebody in death, and I get it. I've lost somebody in death, right? But anyway, I remember me and Travis were looking at each other like, she's serious about not throwing away that. So from that point on, every single time we opened up a bottle or there was anything, trash or whatever, it didn't matter what it was, we would go, "No, we're saving this to make a pillow." Okay, I don't even remember why I started telling that story now. I don't even know. What was my point? Oh, okay, yeah, I'm not a hoarder, okay? That is not me. I want to get rid of my stuff. I really do. I'm what they call organized chaos, right? I can look a little chaotic sometimes, and especially when I'm making baskets, it looks like the room blew up. But I know what I'm doing, and I'm trying to get rid of the stuff. I'm not trying to keep it. It's just that I want to make a profit off of whatever it is that I bought. But if you are an OCD type of a man, and you have OCD issues, and you are like the kind of person that wants to throw everything away, and you don't like anything in the house, or hardly anything at all, you're not going to work very good with me, because I need stuff, and I need to make baskets, and to do what I do, and I do creative stuff. I like to have 12 different colors of the same thing, so I can pick when I'm doing a theme, if I'm doing a boy gift basket, or a baby girl gift basket, or winter, or whatever I'm doing, I need options, right? So I'm going to have all these ribbons. But if you are a minimalist, and you are the type of man who's OCD, and you're like, no, you don't need options, you only need one ribbon, white. Okay, that's not going to work for me. That's not creative at all, right? And if you're going to try to take away my options, and all of a sudden after we get together, I'm now a hoarder because I want options of what I do, right? Or it's making you feel like you're a hoarder because I have 5 different ribbons. We're just not going to work out, right? And it's best to not try to hook and trap a girl or a woman, whoever, you know what I'm saying, by saying things like, "Oh, you don't have to work after we get married. You won't have to work at all. I'm going to pay all of your bills. You can just sit here and look pretty and do whatever you want. I'm going to buy you a car, and I'm going to take care of you, and this, that, and the other." But then as soon as you do get married, and you tell a girl to stay at home because you don't have to work, and she does stay at home, but she's over here doing her baskets or whatever, but now all of a sudden you're like, "No, that's the devil. You're from the devil, and you're a hoarder, and you're this, and you're that. And by the way, you need to pay your bills after you get married." Okay, again, I am not the kind of person who is going to fall for that kind of stuff. Like I'm not going to stay in anything like that. Like, I've seen this type of hook and trickery type of thing now with friends of mine, and I've experienced this. And I'm just here to say that I'm too old to be wasting time, not even one day, with somebody who is a trickery, hook, and bait, what do you call it, bait and switch kind of a person, right? Like, I'm just like, okay, I see what you're about now. You bait and switched or whatever like that. Like, you think that that's going to make me stay, but it's not. Because guess what? A marriage is actually not. Now, some people look at marriage as just a partnership and a loveless type of agreement. I'm not that kind of a person. I'm also not the kind of person to stay in environments that actually bring me down, drag me down, and make me, that suck the life out of me. And to the point that I have no more energy, okay, trying to jump through hoops. Like, I'm not the type of person to do that, right? So, for me personally, I don't care if you have a piece of paper or a license that says you're married, on this piece of paper, it does not say, or nothing on the piece of paper can force anybody to actually love you. A piece of paper does not actually ensure that you are loving the other person, that you are showing deep respect to the other person, that you are being kind to them, compassionate, that you even this piece of paper is not going to guarantee that you're going to lay down in the bed and actually give them good lovemaking. For that to happen, for there to be a good exchange in that department, you actually have to have a real attraction, right? A piece of paper does not guarantee that you're going to be attracted to somebody and that you're going to want to lay down and do that thing with them, right? Okay, it's how you treat them, how they treat you during the day. It's how you are making each other feel during the day, right? And if you love somebody, you also don't need a piece of paper. When you really love somebody, you really care about them, truly, truly love them, you won't need a piece of paper to try to hook them and bait them and, trick them into staying next to you. When there's real love there, all right, when there's real chemistry and it's real love and it's genuine and in a romantic way, if it's really there, it's going to be there with or without a piece of paper. With or without a piece of paper, you're going to find yourself attracted to that person. Right? And with or without a piece of paper, okay, let's say you have intertwined yourself in a relationship with, let's say me. I'm going to use me as an example, right? Let's say you're a man that maybe I have worked with you or in the past, like, there's some projects or something we've worked on or whatever, right? And you liked my vibe. You liked the way that I approached work. You liked the way I did makeup on the ladies, how fast I worked, and you liked how I did things in a clean manner, right? All those things, right? And you had a contract with me, but the contract was over. And then you go and now you move on to the next project and you try to find another makeup artist and another project or whatever, another film or something like that, and you find that now the next 3 jobs or the next 3 films or projects that you work with a makeup artist, you're not able to find what you really want in those makeup artists. Like there's something wrong or whatever, because you really vibed maybe with me, like you really liked XYZ with me, and you're not able to replace and replicate the work ethics, the vibe, all that kind of stuff, like you had maybe with me, right? So now I, as a makeup artist or a lover or whatever, I become irreplaceable to you because you've gone out there, you've hired other makeup artists or you've dated around or whatever, and now you no longer, you can't find anybody to replace me. Because what I did it with passion. I did it from my heart. I did it with love. I did it with care. I did it with patience. I also was clean. I also have a license and stuff like that. So I have knowledge. I bring experience, whatever, yada, 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 right? And so therefore, I'm irreplaceable to you, right? Or as a man, if, we've dated or whatever. And it's like, oh, you think that women are all replaceable. Well, a lot of them are. If the women that you are seeking, if you're only seeking them for, let's say, XYZ, like if you're only seeking somebody for money or to have a maid or to have someone to cook your food and clean your house, all those things are replaceable, right? But you cannot replace somebody when they genuinely have a real attraction for you. If they are attracted to you, if they have genuine love, if they have compassion and they do things with love, they cook with love, they touch you with love, they actually want to touch you, they actually want to spend time with you, that's genuine, right? The piece of paper, the license, aka the contract, will not guarantee you if the woman wants to do her job or whatever it is that she's contracted to do with love and all the extras that you probably liked, which now make me irreplaceable, right? So it's like you might be able to go out there and get yourself another woman who can cook and clean, or maybe you can hire yourself a maid or a housekeeper or whatever. But is it the same? No. Oh, she doesn't make you take your vitamins with love. Oh, she doesn't research things. Why? For you. Why? Because she doesn't care about you like that. That's not part. It's like, okay, so understand what I'm saying, right? Because I know my value. and what I bring to anybody in any relationship, when I love that person and when it's genuine and when it's real, and as long as I'm not being hoodwinked, bait and switched, or whatever, or lied to in general, right? Like, I know how I approach relationships and people and things like that. And I approach with honesty, truth, and love, and all, and my all, right? That makes me irreplaceable. Because let's say you're attracted to my looks, but there are plenty of other women out there who you're also attracted to their looks. But because they don't have that same attraction to you as the man, or, you know, they don't have the same, like, whatever, talents and things like that, that actually, maybe, you know, they mean something to you. Maybe your mother was into herbs and vitamins too. And because I'm into herbs and vitamins, that gives you a sense of comfort, right? So you can find another pretty girl who might actually be able to cook a good dinner and wash some dishes, but she doesn't know anything about herbs and vitamins, and maybe that's not really something you ever thought about before. But it's like, well, the last makeup artist, or my last relationship that I was like, I really missed this woman over here because she, you know, was so good at, you know, vitamins and things like that, and like I always could trust her to, you know, it's like she got my body running right. You know, I've literally had men who've said this to me. They're like, you really got my body running right, like, you know, like the regimen that I put them on. Okay. But then I only do those types of things with people that I love. And if I love and care about you, then I'm going to do whatever I know is good for you, or whatever I feel is blessed. And I have to be led that way too. Like, when I do offer something to somebody and I tell them about, like, you need this or that for inflammation or for this or that, if something stumps me, or if somebody stumps me, their health or something like that, I pray about it and ask God for guidance and wisdom and what this person needs to help me execute and do for them whatever it is, right? And this is for really anybody, whoever, right? But obviously, if I'm married to you or whatever, and I'm with you, you know, this is just something that just comes, right? But anyway, so what I'm trying to say is this brings me to the main point, or the last point, and that is like, people are like, oh, how do you know if it's real love and everything? And this is so crazy to me because when you grow up watching real, genuine love in action, yes, there is the Bible's description of love, which is agape love, you know, and what is true love, and love is patient, kind, and long-suffering, all these things, right? That is true. That's agape love. But romantic love, it's like you need a combination of two when you get married. You want a combination too. You want that agape love, and you want a romantic love. You want that romantic love too, especially if you want to make love, right? So you need to have that attraction. And it's kind of like, how do you know when you have those two things together? Like, how do you know when it's real, or if it's going to be fake and just fleeting and go away? How do you know? Well, because I was raised by a two-parent household that they were in love, and I saw love in action. My parents were not only attracted to each other naturally, but they also had agape love for each other. There was a spiritual love, but they had a friendship love. They were best friends. I actually seen that in action. So for me, this is not really a question, or this is not, like, in my mind, something that I'm like, right? I also took it for granted because I happened to fall in love with a soulmate, like on the first try, practically, like with my husband, my first husband, right? And I guess I just thought that it was more normal, or that was more natural, in that it wasn't such a big, but I, now being 13 years removed from losing him and being single off and on or whatever, you know, and having different relationship experiences, I am able to, I'm seeing and talking to people, I see, I am able to see and hear that a lot of people actually just don't know. They really just don't know. They question love, or they're inexperienced when it comes to love. They're like, really, they just don't know. They really are just not sure. Like, what is true love? Like, how do you know? Like, okay, when a woman becomes irreplaceable. And what inspired me to say this and whatnot, a lot of times when you listen to certain music, right? Certain music, especially not just any love song, but a lot of love songs, right? But especially the ones that you see that become wedding songs, like Jesse Powell's You, which was me and my late husband's wedding song. But certain songs, right, that become hallmark songs for love or for weddings and things like that, they are usually inspired and written by whoever wrote the words, right? They were inspired by usually real experiences. So, like, for example, the Brian McKnight song, Love of My Life, The Irreplaceable, right? I remember watching a documentary or one of his interviews a long time ago, how he was inspired to write that song about his real true wife, who's in the video, and his real experience and how when he knew the difference when he was with her. And a lot of times men especially go through this thing where this happens a lot in relationships, where you might meet her, you fall in love with her, but then for whatever reason, you got lazy, you did whatever, you lost her, you lose her, or you lose her for a while, or she has to step away from you because her knee, like whatever happens, right? This happened with Travis. This is very common. And you separate for a while, right? And men seem to, for whatever reason, they learn the most in a woman's absence. Because in a woman's absence, they're now like, oh, okay, I tried to replace her, but I can't. I've tried to replace her, but I can't. And the thing about it is that sometimes you can. It just depends on if the person you're replacing is toxic or not, right? And if you need to replace that person. But when a woman has needed to leave and remove herself, right, from a situation because of her own health, or, you know, like because she was being taken advantage of or not appreciated, you know, whatever the case is, you know, she was cheated on, whatever, she was being abused or something like that. And so she removes herself, right? And now it has given this man time and space and ability to actually try to replace her. He is at some point going to realize and come to the conclusion that, wow, she is irreplaceable. And then he starts to come to the conclusion and realize, like, that was the love of my life that I let slip away. Sometimes they let her slip away. Sometimes they come right back and they're like, yo, I need you in my life, period, the end, right? Now, the thing about it is not every woman is for everybody, right? Everybody is quirky. Everybody has their own little things, right? Like I said, if you happen to be raised by a mother who was into herbs and vitamins and things like that, and that brings you comfort, and you happen to find a woman who is beautiful and attractive, but she's also into herbs and vitamins or whatever, and that brings you comfort, right? Then that's like one of those things that's like, you know, that's special and quirky to you, right? And that's what I mean. So some women and men, right? Some are replaceable, just depending on how unique and genuine the attraction really was when you were together. But when overall you feel like you are irreplaceable, I could not replace you for me. The next person, the next man might be like, yeah, I can replace you. Especially, let's say, for example, if you're the type of man who actually doesn't like a woman who talks. I mean, maybe you pretended to like a woman who talks when you met me, okay? But in actuality, you don't like a woman who talks, right? But you're like, in your mind, you're like, I want to trap her because, you know, she's beautiful. I want to get in her pants, or whatever your real motivation was. So I'm going to pretend to like a woman who talks, right? But after you get married, it's like, can you stop talking, whatever? Or the vibes start coming out like you don't really want to listen or hear, whatever. Can you replace her? Yes, because it wasn't a real, genuine attraction. You weren't being genuine and real in the initial stages, right? And she's going to sense that. She's going to be able to tell that, right? And so the point is that when you meet somebody, this is very, very true. When you listen to these certain particular songs, they have nuggets of truth in them. And that's what I'm getting at. And I also take inspiration from hearing certain songs or re-listening to certain past songs that I can remember either from way back when, you know, I met my first husband or whatever, and realizing like, wow, I had that with him. Or I had, let's say, in another relationship maybe, or somebody else that I was with or something, and I'll say, oh, we had that. And so I can take inspiration in this song or whatever, right? And having that inspiration that I'm talking about, like, if you just think about it, right? You realize, like, oh, that person is describing the love of his life as irreplaceable. That is, that's inspiring. I should find somebody who is irreplaceable. Okay, that's it. I've chatted way too long and gabbed way too long. So let me get out of here. I got stuff to do, y'all. Bye.